What up? What up? What up, you guys? This is Blackwing 2040. Welcome back to the Power Rangers Marathon. We have now entered the Neo Saban Era, the most excruciating era in Power Rangers history. And let's just say this was their way of bringing Power Rangers back to basics, because in the year 2010, we did not get any new season of Power Rangers. 2010 was an empty year because they aired a re-version of MMPR. It was just basically Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 1 with just added effects just to make it look more, more today. So today's review is going to be on Power Rangers Samurai and Super Samurai. I'm doing both seasons since it's basically the same team with the same suits, because I'll be giving myself double the work if I was talking about both of the seasons separately. But anyway, this season is adapted from Samurai Sentai Shinkenger, and again, I understand how this could be a lot of people's first season of Power Rangers, and that is okay. Really, that is okay, because I'll be honest, when I first saw, the first promo for Power Rangers Samurai, I was like, oh snap, Power Rangers is back, because after RPM, we got no Power Rangers, so I was very happy to see Power Rangers back on TV again. It was great. And, back then, watching both seasons, I noticed it did feel very different. Like, for instance, there's always some chit chat going on during a battle. There's always one-liners being brought up. It's just so many things were completely different from the past, from the Disney era, that they just added this. It's just, the franchise became very watered down and just tried to make it, more appealing. Because remember, it is a kid show, in fact, so I understand they had a reason for that. And one of the reasons why I could say I didn't really like this season that much, because when I actually watched Shinkenger, it just blew my mind of just how much Samurai is just a copy and paste of Shinkenger. Really, if you watch Samurai Shinkenger, it's basically a copy and paste of the same thing. Just a little bit of a few touch-ups here and there just to not make it look exactly the same. But it pretty much is the exact same plot and story of Samurai Sentai Shinkenger. And that's one thing that bugs me to the holy heavens. And another thing is just to adapt a show that's strictly based on Japanese culture. Like, for instance, the Alien Rangers basically adapted Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger, was the first ever Japanese cultured Sentai show. Shinkenger focusedly on Samurai, and Samurai is heavily part of Japanese history. So to adapt something that's strictly Japanese and to bring it to the American audience, I find that very difficult for them to do. I know there's no way around it to just adapt something that's strictly Japanese. How can you Americanize Samurai? How? That's one of my big, questions. But, this format also gave us, the super season format. Instead of getting a full season of 40 episodes, seasons are now split into 2 parts. And boy, I still don't like it to this day. I really don't like it. But I've gone on and on about the format of the show. So basically, the story about this season is centuries ago in Japan, a race of creatures known as Nylok have invaded the Earth time and time again. But the world has been guarded by samurai warriors who use power symbols passed down from parent to child, basically passed down from generation to generation. So now in the modern day, the Nylok have risen once again and plan to flood the earth with the Sanzu River. And so Jaden, who is our Red Ranger this season, has to form a team of other individuals who are chosen to become Samurai Rangers, and it is their destiny to defeat the Nylok and also to seal away Master Xandred. But of course, throughout this story, this season comes with so many secrets that it doesn't get answered until like Super Samurai. And I can say between these two seasons, I find Super Samurai to be the more better version of the two. I just found Samurai to be very just watching Samurai kind of gave me a migraine. It's just like, this is so basic. I cannot even watch this anymore. I can't. But I'll give Super Samurai, I'll give them credit where credit is due. There are moments where the season does have some high stakes in there. It does, it does get serious when it wants to, and I have no problem with that. But I'll say Super Samurai is pretty much the better show for me. One thing I would say, if they were to do something differently, I would have this. I would say, why not have, since the whole big secret was Lauren was supposed to be the next successor of the Red Ranger, I'm thinking, why not have Lauren take over in the beginning of Super Samurai? And then when it comes to the moment where, Jaden finally decides to come back, I would say bring Jaden back about, I'll say like in the back, I could say in the back half of the season, because, you have Jaden around for the first 20 episodes of Samurai, and then Super Samurai, the big secret is Lauren shows up. So I'm thinking, and I know that kind of twists things up a little bit, especially with the introduction of the black box in Super Samurai mode, but I'm just saying, what if they decide to bring in Lauren in the beginning of Super Samurai instead of pretty much close to the end? Because I know that's what they did in Shinkenger, but I'm just saying, why not do it? If anything, what I would have done it differently and just bring in Lauren in the beginning of Super Samurai. That's my opinion. So anyway, that's pretty much my thoughts on the story, the format of the season. So let's talk about these characters. The first character is our Red Ranger himself, Jaden Shiba. Now, I know a lot of people do not like Jaden. Trust me, I don't either. One of the most cringiest lines that I've ever heard in Power Rangers history, and it bugs me so much. I must not fail. I am the Red Ranger. I'm like, no shit, you're the Red Ranger, dude. Excuse my language, but come on. Of course you're the Red Ranger. That's another thing that bugged me about. The script really bugged me a lot in this season. My gosh. Forgive me, y'all. But I know a lot of people are arguing with a last name like Shiba. The Red Ranger should have been Asian, and I can agree they really should have gotten like an Asian Red Ranger for this season. It would have worked. It really would have worked. But Jaden, he's very, he's a loner when he wants to be. He's always stoic, always, focused on getting the job done. And it's just, he's just one of those people, he doesn't always let everyone in. Of course, as for the other Rangers, their main goal, of course, is just, they're very protective of Jaden, even before they found out on what the secret was. But again, Jaden is, he's not one of the best Red Rangers I ever seen. But I'll say in the final batch of episodes of Super Samurai, I kind of liked what I saw. But going for, like in the beginning, it was just no. I did not like him. And the same thing can be said about our next character, Kevin. Kevin is our Blue Ranger, and Kevin is someone who's very by the book. He is always, he's basically Jaden's right-hand man, second in command. Whenever Jaden's not around, Kevin's always there to pick up the slack, and that's fine. But personality-wise, he's just like another version of Jaden. Just, he's still able to, have some fun, yes, but he's like Jaden, but just 50% of it. Jaden's full on 100% stoic and everything. Kevin, he's like 50% serious and then 50% able to, do whatever he wants. But I I don't know. I did not. I really didn't like Kevin. I didn't. But that can be said about the next character, Mike. Mike is one of the only characters in this season that I like because he has a personality. He's actually able to just be free, be open, be energetic. That's the one thing I love about Mike. And of course, yes, he's a Green Ranger. Green is my favorite color. But Mike is one of the only characters that's just, he has a personality. Like, come on. Oh my gosh. And really, he doesn't bug me at all. He's chill. He's mellow. I love everything about Mike. Mike is really, he's my favorite character in this entire season. And that's pretty much all I can say about Mike. Now, Mia. Mia is basically the den mother of the group. She can't cook for crap. The running gag throughout this entire show is that anytime when Mia is cooking, everyone gets terrified and scared. Be like, nope, 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 Mia will take care of the cooking. You don't do anything. And that's also another thing that they copy and paste because Mia's Sentai counterpart also can't cook. And I find it funny how at the end of the season she decides to go to culinary school when everybody around her knows, like, Mia, I don't think you should do the cooking. I just find it funny how when she says she's going to culinary school, Mike just looks up and he's just like, thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, as much crap this season gets, it does have a few nice moments. That's all. That's one thing I could say about that. But Mia, she's the den mother. I feel like, they could have, there are moments where we thought, I could say some people in the fandom thought Mia and Kevin were going to hook up, but no, that doesn't happen. And speaking of hooking up, we can say that was supposed to happen with Emily. And speaking of Emily, Emily is basically the younger sister of the group. And speaking of younger sister, her older sister was supposed to be the next Yellow Ranger, but she fell ill. So Emily had to take her place. Now, another thing, it's interesting how Emily is a replacement and Jaden was basically Lauren's replacement. There should have been an episode where they tackled on how, you and me are basically the same. We both had to, take up replacements for our siblings. That's perfect. It's really perfect storytelling that they could have done, but they don't do anything with that. And they drop hints so many times of, Mike having feelings for Emily, and they don't really do anything with that until like the final episode. I'm like, okay, world save, let's make them a couple. I'm like, why didn't y'all just do something with them this entire time instead of just dragging it out? But I don't know. I mean, Emily's, she's adorable. She's tough. She can handle her own many times. So I can say she's an okay character. It's just, she's a character that really gets, sometimes underestimated, but she's still a nice character. Our next Ranger, Antonio, our Gold Ranger of the season. Antonio is another character I actually like because, again, he's another energetic personality. He's also Jaden's best friend. Antonio is not traditionally a samurai. He created his own morpher. Jaden gave the Octazord to him as a gift, and he basically trained himself, and by creating his own morpher and creating his own symbol power, which I'll admit that's pretty smart for him. So getting down, having the technology aspect of symbol power for the Rangers, that takes guts. That's also quite the innovation, if I might add. Totally different from the traditional symbol power that they use. So I can definitely say Antonio. A lot of people don't like Antonio. I like Antonio. I find him pretty cool. So that's pretty much all I can say about Antonio. And our final Ranger, Lauren. Lauren really got the short end of the stick because, of course, she is the first ever female Red Ranger. I know we had a squad Red Ranger in SPD, and she was a Red Ranger, but she was technically evil, full-on evil. Lauren is our full-on good, pure good Red Ranger. female. And again, like everyone says, I wish we got more of Lauren. I really wish we had more of her. She should have got more to do. That's why I say, if they made her show up earlier in Super Samurai, that would have been perfect to see, what she can do, what she's made of, and, just have her interact with the other Rangers. Because when she first came on the scene, the Rangers barely interacted with her. As soon as Jaden left, everybody was like, man, I wish Jaden was here. I wish Jaden was here. It was like a Jaden pity party. No one wanted to interact with Lauren. I mean, Kevin had a few moments with Lauren, and Antonio as well. But everybody else, they didn't. And I kind of like the emotional moments when Jaden left. Everybody was just so shocked and sad and just pretty much in complete distraught to hear that Jaden is leaving. So I'll give them props for that. But again, Lauren really should have got more to do. And I mean, she's a playable character in, Legacy Wars and Battle for the Grid, and she had a big prominent role in Shattered Grid. So I gotta thank Boom Studios Comics for doing that, but I just wish she had more to do in the TV show. Alright, so let's get to our allies. First ally is Mentor G. Mentor G is like one of the worst mentors in Power Rangers because he doesn't do anything. He barely does anything. I feel like when one Ranger's, he always picks on Mike whenever Mike's out of line, and Mike is kind of basically the prankster of the group. And when Antonio first came to the scene, he did not like Antonio at all. But then he starts to warm up to Antonio because he realizes he has he's a valued member of the Samurai Rangers. So he's grown to like Antonio. And of course he's grown to like Mike as well. It's just, I feel like he finds favoritism to, mainly to Jaden, Kevin, and I could say Mia to an extent. But again, Mentor isn't really the best. G is not the best mentor ever. He really isn't. And the last bit of allies, we got one new and we got one legendary ally here, Bulk and Spike. I was very surprised to see that we got Bulk in here. I was very surprised the first time Samurai premiered. I was like, hey, it's Bulk! It was awesome to see him again. And to hear that when Spike came around, Spike is Skull's son. We don't know who Skull got married to, but again, that's a mystery that will never be answered. But Bulk and Spike, of course, the comedic relief of the season. They tried to bring that whole, what I mean about going back to basics, they tried to bring back the whole comedic aspect to the show again. And it really isn't necessary, to be honest. And right in the final 4 to 5 episodes of Super Samurai, they are completely absent. I mean, of course they appear in the final scene of Super Samurai, but you don't see them at all for like those final 5 episodes. I'm like, without these two, the show can actually be good. So comedic relief characters nowadays, they're not really necessary. They're not. But I still say it was good to see Bulk again. Spike, of course, he has his father's laugh a lot. But that's pretty much it about Bulk and Spike. Now for the villains. First up is Master Xandred. Master Xandred, not a good villain. Really not a good villain. He only gets like 2 moments of action. Only 2, because the thing about the Nihilakh is if they leave the Netherworld, the more time they spend in the Netherworld, in the human world, they will dry up. So they need Sanzu River water to keep them, keep their body, good for battle. The thing is with Master Xandred and with him being, the head of the Nihilakh, he has so much powers that as soon as he steps into the human world, he dries up immediately. So I guess it's because I think the more powerful you are, the quicker you dry up. I guess that's probably the case. I guess that's probably why the Moogers don't really dry up at all, because since they're the foot soldiers. But again, Master Xandred, he doesn't do much. He spends most of his time just asking for medicine, saying he got a headache. He's like taking these bits from Rita in the beginning. He's just on the ship, just drinking medicine the whole time. That's pretty much it. Alright, next up is Reveiw. Reveiw is a general in the Nylok army. I find her backstory very interesting though, because she was once human, and her and her husband were caught in a fire at their home. Their home caught on fire, and a specific Nylok, and I'm going to get to that Nylok soon, said that he can save her husband, but for a price. So she makes the deal, and then the deal was kind of basically altered, and basically she becomes a full-on Nylok. And she also has a harmonium, but it's basically kind of like a guitar, but the instrument is called a harmonium, and Master Xandred always finds, pleasantry every time she plays it. It kind of soothes his mind a bit. But then, it's funny how when Reveiw decided to leave because her harmonium got destroyed by Xandred, and then Xandred actually comes back and fixes her harmonium. But of course he had to swear her to promise that, if I fix this, you gotta come back. And so she does. But her story is very sad. I kind of like sad stories when it comes to villains. It makes them very compelling. But yeah, Reveyw's, as far as development goes, that's pretty much I can say about Reveiw. Now for the next character, I had him down here. Octoroo, he's basically, he's like, I could say like the chronicler for Master Xandred. He gives them the information on each particular Nylok and what they could do and everything. And that's about it. He does have a few moments where he does fight. His tentacles can be used as, weapons. But all of that, he doesn't really do much. So I don't even know why I had him on here. But yeah, that's Octoroo. Now, Decker. Decker is a very important character in this show, because Decker is Review's husband that I previously mentioned, and he is half human, half Nylok, and he is cursed to search for battle, and that's why throughout the season he challenges Jaden to a duel, and his curse will only be broken if he gets the satisfaction of I feel like the satisfaction of either, I don't know if his satisfaction will end if he wins or loses. I'm not entirely sure, but of course in the end, after Kevin was the one that got the final strike on Decker, which was very interesting, Decker's curse is completely broken. He's erased. And going back to what I said about Review's heart, her heart pretty much belongs to Decker, because that's her husband. But bless me. She never really told Decker the truth that, you are my husband. She never tells him that at all. I'm surprised she never did. But her heart still belonged to Decker. She was never really fully Nylok. But imagine if she did tell Decker the truth, though. I wonder where that would have went. Maybe they both could have gotten a happy ending in the end. But sadly, they didn't. But again, Decker is a really, really cool character. Really cool. And the last character to talk about is Serrator. Serrator is basically like the Darkonda of the villains this season, because he has his own agenda. I feel like Serrator is one of the best aspects of Super Samurai. He made the season more serious, because his plan was to really straight up split the world open by conquering both the Netherworld and the human world. I find that very, very interesting. Serrator did more stuff than Master Xandred ever did, and I find that dope. Really dope. Serrator is just cool. He's just really straight up really cool. And that's pretty much all the characters of Power Ranger Samurai. Now, if I were to rate this season, it does have its raw moments, but I still have to say Samurai is pretty mid. It's pretty mid. I would say trash, but it gets I guess say it's not all that trash. It's mid. It has a few raw moments, but Samurai and Super Samurai together as a whole, it's a pretty mid season. But anyway, in the comment section below, what did you like about Power Rangers Samurai? Was there anything good that you liked about Power Rangers Samurai? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And stay tuned for my next review of Power Rangers Megaforce, which was the 20th anniversary of the Power Rangers franchise. Oh boy, I'm going to be in for a ride because, again, this era is not the easiest era to sit through. But again, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Until then, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden, and may the power protect you.